The new Fantastic Four movie left me absolutely speechless walking out of that theater. I really love this movie because of how it portrayed its characters. Looking back at past Fantastic Four films, they didn't work because they either butchered the source material or completely misunderstood what made these characters special. So I've gone back and rewatched some of the best scenes from the recent movie and picked 4 moments that I think really define each member of the Fantastic Four. Sue Storm absolutely owns this movie. So after failing to negotiate with Galactus and facing some backlash from the people of Earth, this scene where she steps out into the crowd of protesters outside the building, where she tells a story of how she grew up without parents and how she has become the person she is today because of it. And so later on, she drops one of my favorite lines. "I will not sacrifice my child for this world, but I will not sacrifice this world for my child." That's peak cinema, man. It's powerful, it's heartfelt, establishes who Sue Storm is to the very core of her and how she's the core of the team. It's so good, man. This movie gave her so much more character development than her predecessors. So here's the thing about Ben Grimm. During this sort of curfew, Ben did not finish shaving his beard, and so he literally has like half a face of a beard. So he's walking around the building and Johnny, pokes fun of him, He's like, "Oh, you missed a spot, man." And like, okay. That was a really bad accent. Anyways, after making fun of him for a bit, he's like, "You know what, Ben? You should keep the beard look." While the scene is kind of played off as like a lighthearted joke, and he would ultimately have a beard for the rest of the film, like all the way to the end. The Thing's story is generally about his appearance and being more self-accepting of that. So seeing him have that reassurance from another person, accepting what naturally happens, I think it's amazing, really. I just think it's a really subtle way of having his appearance be a point of conversation without being too in your face about it. Johnny motherfucking Storm. And that man Joseph Quinn cooked. Probably my favorite in the entire movie. The team is trying to teleport the Earth away from Galactus, but the Silver Surfer manages to destroy the pillars placed all around the Earth. But before she destroys the one in New York, he chases after her and he uses the technology, broadcasts signals and transmissions across like every screen in the city. Transmissions from the Silver Surfer's home world. They talk about her story, how she sacrificed herself to keep her planet safe. And then Johnny was like, "Then let me sacrifice myself. Don't take Franklin, take me." It was a really great moment for him because it took everything about Johnny in this movie and wrapped it into one scene. You get a little bit of that brash and impulsive side where he doesn't tell the team what's going on, he just goes. You get a little bit of the bold and brave side where he volunteers himself to be sacrificed to Galactus. And then you even get a little bit of the smart side because, let's face it, Johnny is not an idiot. He's a little goofy, he's a little silly, but that man is also an astronaut. That man is smart. He's a really emotionally driven person and genuinely cares for and believes in the sanctity of life. It is just such a beautiful moment. So going back a bit, before Sue gave that strong and powerful speech, after the failed negotiations with Galactus, there's actually an argument between Reed and Sue that gives us more insight on his character. The team were struggling to deal with the protests going on outside of their building, and Reed started to rationalize them a bit. Of course, they would want us to sacrifice our child. It makes sense. And that started the argument. Sue was a bit worried because, why is the thought of sacrificing our child even in your head? And you know how I talked about Sue having one of the greatest lines? This is another great line from Reed right here. "I don't dream. I invite the worst possible thing in my head to figure out how to hurt them before they hurt anyone else." And this line was everything for Reed Richards. He is the smartest man in the room, but that doesn't come without its cost. It gives Reed so much depth that I think was missing from the other films. It's just so deep. Looking back on these 4 moments, these 4 scenes, it shows that this really is the definitive Fantastic Four movie.